from the WDAY News Center, this is Ty Schonert. It's time for your Flag News Update. News this hour brought to you by Freedom Matters USA. West Fargo City Commission passing a new parking ordinance looks to tackle late payments. Commissioners say the change will no longer allow your car to be impounded, but will place an increasing fine that grows up to 30 days. After the 30-day window, a vehicle boot will be placed on one of the tires and will stay on until penalties are paid. More details can be found on our website. North Dakota Governor Gov Burgums' new budget proposal includes $170 million to address the state's workforce shortage.
Every state is now competing for workforce. States will grow or prosper, or they will decline and shrink based on if they can attract and retain talent to live and work in their states.
Burgum delivered his executive budget address before a legislative assembly today in Bismarck. The record spending plan totaling $18.4 billion would include increased support for K-12 education and teacher salaries and more than $3 billion for roads, bridges, water projects, and other critical infrastructure. And Fargo police say an elderly missing man has been found safe. Police confirmed this morning that Alfred Von Bank has been located. The 88-year-old was reported missing yesterday afternoon. Authorities have not disclosed information about where Von Bank was or where he was found. This is Ty Schonert at The Flag and AM1100theflag.com. First at the news when you need to know.
Employers, does the competitive job market have you down? Now more than ever, make certain your pay and benefits are competitive, and High Road Partners can help. High Road Partners is a full-service employee benefits brokerage and HR firm, serving small businesses in the region, helping you design a strategy to attract and retain talented employees, locally owned and operated. Let's succeed together. Visit highroadpartners.com today. highroadpartners.com.
Biden backtracks at the southern border. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The administration now plans to ask a federal court to keep Title 42 in place. That's the pandemic-era restriction that allows many asylum seekers to be turned away.
Title 42 is set to drop 2 weeks from today. We're averaging about 6,000 or 7,000 illegal crossings every single day, and DHS projections show once Title 42 drops, their upper projections say we could get upwards of 18,000 illegal crossings every single day. That would be almost a tripling of the current record-breaking situation.
Fox's Bill Malugin in Hidalgo, Texas. The White House and the Homeland Security Secretary had said preparations were underway for the change after seeking to end the CDC rule this spring. Now, Reuters is reporting they will appeal a federal judge's ruling that invalidated the restrictions and that the CDC is working on a regulation to formalize the border restrictions. Earlier today, a bipartisan bill unveiled aimed at preventing border agent suicides.
What they've been exposed to 100% has an impact on you.
Texas Republican Congressman and veteran Tony Gonzalez. The bill includes more funding for mental health resources. A sweeping defense policy bill has a provision the president doesn't like, rescinding a military vaccine mandate.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says it's a mistake for Congress to require the Pentagon to lift the COVID vaccine requirement.
Making sure our troops are prepared and ready for service is a priority for President Biden. The vaccination requirement for COVID does just that.
Ending the vaccine mandate for service members is included in a bipartisan defense policy bill. While expressing opposition to the provision, the White House stopped short of issuing a veto threat.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. While most service members have had COVID shots, thousands have been discharged because of the mandate. America is listening to Fox News.
Yes, missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats, okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Check in on one another and be a part of a healthy blood pressure movement. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
Partly cloudy skies for this afternoon. It will be cold with highs near 6 above. We'll have winds out of the north switching to the east at around 5 to 15, producing wind chills below zero all day long. Clear skies tonight will bottom out near zero and then see temperatures rise towards morning as winds shift to the south at 10 to 15. And partly cloudy, breezy, a little warmer for your Thursday with highs in the mid-20s. We'll see the upper 20s for Friday and then near 30 for the weekend. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki.
The North Dakota Lottery's Pick and Click online play is helping you get into the holiday spirit with the Never Miss a Draw promotion. From December 1st through December 31st, get up to 10% off your Pick and Click online play when you purchase 13, 26, 39, or 52 weeks at a time. With Pick and Click, you can play your favorite games right from home or anywhere in North Dakota with our mobile app. Visit lottery.nd.gov to get up to 10% off with Pick and Click. The North Dakota Lottery. Imagine the possibilities.
Live from the PetroServe USA studio, it's the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free.
We have got a lot to get to today. Governor Doug Burgum gave his executive budget address earlier today. I want to start with some breaking news, and that is this. Time of the Year announces their Person of the Year. So you think about 2022. It has been quite a year, right? Just found out Sam Bankman-Fried, who donated, $40 million, some say $70 million to Democrats. Now you've got the chairman, Maxine Waters, of the House Finance Committee, not going to subpoena SBF for a hearing, which is just absolutely stunning, but not surprised. But point is, there's a lot that's happened this year. So if you're going to take a moment and think to yourself, who should be the Time Person of the Year? Curious who you would say that should be. Number to call into the show to share your point of view on anything that's on your heart or mind today, 701-271-1100. Again, that's 701-271-1100. So Time Person of the Year. Who would you put down for Time Person of the Year? Well, this year, Time chose President Zelensky in the spirit of Ukraine. So the president of Ukraine, President Zelensky, was chosen as the Time Person of the Year. At least they didn't give him a Nobel Peace Prize, right? At least they didn't go that direction, because I don't know if you remember the clip, but there was a time when actually Zelensky was suggesting that NATO, i.e. the United States of United States of America, should actually execute preemptive strikes against Russia. Like, Russia hadn't attacked, hadn't hit a NATO country, and he says, look, they've got these nukes. They're going to say they're going to use the nukes. I think you guys should do a preemptive attack. Oh, just start World War III. No big deal, President Zelensky, but let's put him down for Time Person of the Year. Is he suggesting that we initiate World War III when there are reports out there that say Zelensky was willing to forego much of this, and so was Putin. If they would have just left things alone, and Zelensky says, look, just let us join NATO, or just not even join NATO, but just you guys leave us alone, take Crimea, we'll be fine here. And Biden did not want that because of obviously the military-industrial complex, and there's a whole nother world to go there. But Time chooses President Zelensky as their Person of the Year for somebody that was suggesting preemptive strikes, which would have probably initiated World War III. And I bring all that up because it was 81 years ago today. Think about how long and how much has happened in 81 years. Think about that time marker, and I've got even a more shocking time marker coming up here in just a moment. But 81 years ago today is when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Many of you know my Gramps passed away recently. He served in World War II, served in the Navy. I think one of the most interesting stories about World War II, and I'm sure many of you have them from parents and grandparents, but my grandma told me that at one point when they found out the news, she was on the farm, and it comes across the radio that Pearl Harbor had been attacked. Obviously, you've got Roosevelt's speech. But what was amazing about World War II is how everybody started to unite, right? Everyone jumped in, said, hey, look, we've got to get together as a nation to go out and win this war. And my grandma would tell me stories. Apparently, one of the big things that younger people would do to get involved is that they would chew a lot of gum. Now, why would they chew a lot of gum? Because I guess it was wrapped in some sort of foil. And so my grandma told me the story where her and her brother would just sit around and just chew gum all day long, because what they would do is they would take the foil from the gum, they would wrap it all together in these balls of foil, and then mail them in somewhere, because I guess the military would use it in some way, shape, or form for ammo or for the military. And so you had all these people that would be chewing just tons and tons of gum, taking the foil, and then mailing it at particular places. And that was one way that some of the younger generation that obviously couldn't serve in the military felt like, hey, I'm doing what I can here, right? I may not be in a manufacturing plant, I may not be on the front lines, but I'm doing what I can to make a difference. And that was in 1941, 81 years ago. And that just seems like such a long time ago for many of us. And I think it's important to know that, because one of the things that we've talked about here on the show is a while back, many people thought, oh, hey, maybe the GOP is going to take back the Senate. And I said, there's no doubt when you look at inflation and Afghanistan and all the things that have happened over the course of 2022, that it should have been an easy win in the House and the Senate for the GOP. And I said it, somewhat in jest back then, but I was like, hey, look, if anybody can screw this thing up, if anyone's going to blow this opportunity where you've got huge gas prices and inflation and we're taking, oil out of the reserves, and I can go on the border, I mean, millions of people crossing the border, if anybody can screw it up, it'll be the GOP. Well, last night, Warnock, which it still wouldn't have given him a majority, but Warnock won Georgia. And I bring this up because Axios had a very interesting email they put out this morning. And think about this for a moment. Walker's loss last night caps a historic GOP embarrassment. So Herschel Walker's loss last night caps a historic GOP embarrassment. 2022 is the first midterm election since 1934. So 1941 seems like a long time ago. Since 1934, 88 years ago, when the party in power successfully defended every incumbent Senate seat. He's still in Mitch McConnell's train? Since 1934, 88 years. It's the first time in 88 years that a presidential party in power successfully defended every single incumbency. Now, I shared that with somebody earlier today, like, well, come on, Berg. I mean, it's not like they were fair elections. I don't know, right? Who knows? I think you can make your own sort of extrapolations from what you saw in Arizona. But just the fact that it's been 88 years since they successfully defended every Senate incumbent seat, I think tells you a lot about what's happening in that situation, in that party. And I believe, I don't know if McConnell really wanted to be the majority leader anyways, but that's a conversation for another day. I do want to jump into this. We got a special guest coming up later in the show. Commerce Commissioner Josh Teagan's going to join us. We talked about this yesterday. Huge investment in Grand Forks for a soybean crushing plant. There's a new angel fund investment that's coming out. Plus, we're going to talk more in detail, at least from his perspective, on the workforce piece about Governor Burgum's budget. Because today, as Governor Burgum did his budget, one of the main drivers, one of the main things he discussed is, look, we are now competing with every state in the country when it comes to workforce. And I was at a chamber event on Tuesday. We're going to play some clips from the governor's budget earlier today. And I guess one of the things I'd love to know from you, I mean, when you really, if you have time to dive into the numbers, and Governor Burgum laid this out at one point saying, hey, this is our checking account here, and we've got a second checking account, then we've got these savings. I mean, there are so many little piggy bank accounts in the state of North Dakota, and they're all really, really flush right now. I mean, really flush. And I say that because you got to start to ask yourself, how many savings accounts do you have? And how flush are your savings accounts? I mean, are they just spewing cash right now with this inflation situation in our nation? Or are you kind of going, gosh, sometimes there's more month than there is money. We've all been there. Sometimes there's more month than there is money. So he talked a little bit about tax relief. I'm going to play that for you. He also touched upon property tax relief and then education. But one of the main drivers of his conversation today was, we've got to solve this workforce problem, because if we don't, that obviously is going to impact our GDP and revenues and things like that within the state. So he's trying to find a way to recruit more and more people into the state. And I say how critically important that is because at a chamber event earlier this week on Tuesday, they were talking about the workforce issues as well. And obviously education, an important piece of trying to educate people to fulfill the right jobs within the state. And right now in North Dakota, there's 25,000 job openings. 25,000 job openings. And for every 100 open jobs in the state right now, there's only 47 people to fill them. So there's only 47 people per 100 job openings right now in North Dakota, which means there's obviously 53 open positions that we couldn't even fill if we tried. That is a huge, huge problem when it comes to production for a company. Thus why you see this inflation happening when it comes to hiring people. I mean, anybody you talk to these days, not only is it difficult to find a warm body, but then the wages that you're paying people obviously are phenomenal compared to the past because there's just not enough supply. Huge demand, just not enough supply. So Josh Teagan with the Commerce Department, they're going to get some budget put into their department to help try to solve this problem. We'll talk about that in much more detail with him. And what do you do? I mean, right now, here we are, December, 7th? You know, it's 6 below outside. I mean, how do you recruit people from a Denver, a Texas, some other places to come up here and work when you've got 6 below in early December? All right, it was about the 21-minute mark or so. Governor Burgum got into tax reductions. He really focused in on reducing the income taxes. We're going to play a little bit of this for you now and then more when we come back. And I've said, I don't know, for maybe 5 to 8 years now, like, look, accounts are flush in North Dakota. Let's just get rid of the income tax. If you look at the fastest growing states population-wise in the nation right now, all of them have got no income tax. Florida, Texas, those states right now are growing. And I'm not going to say it's only because of the income tax. Obviously, they've got much nicer weather than us. But that's my point. We need every single lever we can use right now to say, look, come to North Dakota. We'll give you a great life. And one of those things, obviously, is getting rid of income tax. So here's a little bit about Governor Burgum saying right now we're going to go down to a flat tax. But eventually, the good news about the flat tax is eventually we're going to get ourselves to no income tax.
Path towards eventually zeroing out our individual income tax and joining these 8 states that don't have individual income tax. These include some of the nation's fastest growing states in the southern part of our country. They compete, those on this list, we compete for energy workers like Alaska, Texas, and Wyoming. We compete directly for workers from those states, and also our neighbor in South Dakota. Getting on this list should be a priority for the state of North Dakota because if this relates back to attracting workforce. And it's not just private sector. Talk to General Al Dorman about how we're losing military personnel to other states that have zero income taxes. We're grateful to Tax Commissioner Brian Crocius, along with Representative.
That's a big deal right there. The fact that he just mentioned that, hey, Major General Alan Dorman is losing people to come serve in our military within the state of North Dakota because we've got an income tax. We had somebody call in yesterday and talk about it. In North Dakota right now, we've got the highest GDP per capita than any other state in the nation. I mean, things are good here when you look at the count, so let's just get rid of it, bring these people into the state, bring their families into the state, and we can solve the workforce problem all at the same time. Now, when we come back, one of the biggest issues that many people talk about throughout the state is obviously property taxes. What do you do about property taxes? Everybody wants the state to sort of step in, do the buy down. Governor Burgum's got a very interesting and I think spot-on analysis of what needs to happen from a property tax perspective. But he said something within the property tax solution that then he goes on and talks about education that I believe somewhat contradicts himself. You can be the judge of that. But I think it's interesting how he says, this is what we need to do for property taxes, and then says, here's what we're going to do for education. And especially when you think about Governor Burgum is fantastic at looking at cash, money, and saying, hey, how are we going to get the best ROI on this money? He's really, really good about that. Talked about the state bank, the state mill. The question is, when we put money into education right now, are we getting a good return on our investment when we put money in education? That is a major argument. If you want to email the show, please do so. It's studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, studio@chrisbergshow.com. Want to say thank you to Red Wing Shoes for sponsoring our studio email inbox. Check them out at redwingshoes.com.
Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
PetroServe USA.
Call today.
USA. PetroServe USA, helping you and America fuel better.
Hey, it's Scott Hanlon from The Flag, and I wanted you to know about a really good opportunity for someone to join our team. We're looking for an office coordinator that will do a ton of things for us, like manning our front desk, running our online store, data entry, and in general, just being that happy, friendly face to welcome people to our building. Our facility is brand new, state-of-the-art. You'll be working in first-class surroundings with people who will respect and appreciate you. You'll need to be consistent, cheerful, accurate, and willing to jump in wherever needed. We're a growing company, so it's fast-paced with a ton of variety, and no 2 days are the same. This is a position that others have used as a springboard to higher positions at our company. Here at our company, we like to say the sky's the limit. We have competitive pay, great benefits like health insurance and a 401k contribution. Just send your resume and cover letter to jobs@flagfamily.com. Jobs@flagfamily.com. Flag Family Media is an equal opportunity employer. Mike Lindell has an all-new product, My Coffee. And is it good? It starts with beans grown in Honduras, where the climate has perfect growing conditions to produce the best beans ever. Every single batch is tested to make sure it meets the very highest industry standard. And all of the production is done right here in the USA. You can order ground whole bean or single cert coffee pods, certified organic and non-GMO. It's like you're getting that small batch specialty coffee delivered monthly right to your door. So go to mystore.com, use the promo code SCOTT, or call 800-506-9028. You'll save 50% on your My Coffee subscription. Sign up today and you'll get a free Go Anywhere My Pillow. Cancel anytime and keep the Go Anywhere pillow on Mike. Support Mike's platform for USA entrepreneurs. mystore.com. That's mystore.com. Or call 800-506-9028. Promo code SCOTT.
You did it again, Fargo Moorhead. Thanks for voting Fix It Forward Auto Care the best auto care of Red River Valley 3 years in a row, including the categories of Best Tire Retailer and Best Customer Service. Plus, Fix It Forward Ministry won Best Local Nonprofit. We're honored and we promise to continue serving our great community, providing you the best auto care experiences. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. We're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. If you're heading around the Harwood area, I want to encourage you to stop into their brand new, big, beautiful PetroServe USA store. When you go in there, what's beautiful about that store is also not only can you fill up the gas tank, but you can also fill up the tummy. They've got a great Cafe USA in there with some burgers, some chicken, and, of course, the delicious cookies and much, much more. That's in the Harwood area. There's many all across our great community. So as you're out driving about, please stop into your local PetroServe USA, helping you and America fuel better. All right, earlier today, Governor Doug Burgum gave his executive a budget address. I think one of the important things to know when you see an executive stand up, as Governor Burgum does, or Governor Walz, or any governor, it's important to at least take a look at what's going on in the budget. Because I think what it says oftentimes is what the vision is that they see for the state. You can tell where people put their money, like that's where their priorities are at. That's where they're saying, hey, this is where we want to make some impact. And so I think it gives you a good idea of what the vision is there. And so Governor Burgum spoke earlier today about solving the workforce issue problem that we've got, education, some tax relief. I don't think as much maybe as you and I would like to see, but there's some in there. So at least he's moving towards zeroing out state income taxes, which I think is a very, very important conversation. The sooner we do that, the better. But I know when I talk to many of you, the biggest issue you've got here in North Dakota right now is the property tax situation. So he addressed that, and I think he's spot on about his assessment of what's going on with property taxes. And I know it's arduous. It's not fun. But bottom line, if you really want to see an impact in your property taxes, don't expect the state to subsidize them. Rather, just get actively involved with your local government. Say, hey, that's enough on the mills. That's enough on how you're assessing my home. Something to obviously begin to dramatically reduce the property taxes. We had a great call from Tom yesterday in West Fargo saying, hey, I've paid off my house, and yet I continue to pay these property taxes. So am I essentially, even though I've paid it off, am I just leasing this from the city, from the state? Which, by the way, Tom, if you're listening again today, home buying, I don't want to go there, but that is a whole nother conversation that we need to have someday. Because here you are, you've paid off your house. I don't know how long it took you, whether it's 15 years, 30 years, but who made all the money doing that? Who made all the money by you having that house? Unless you've done some HELOCs or some very creative financing things, it hasn't been you. It hasn't been you. All right, let's get into some more of Governor Burgum's budget address here. If you want to call into the show and share your point of view on what you're hearing from the budget, or maybe you've read some articles on it, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100.
And the burden they place on residents in some of our communities. And I say some, not all, because some of you live in communities that have done a great job of limiting property tax burden on their residents. This is a tangible and super important reminder that property taxes are not even across our state. They're set and managed at the local levels. The decisions of cities, counties, schools, park districts, and others drive those levels. It's impossible to pass legislation at the state level and know the effect it's going to have at the local level, to even know if it's actually going to lower taxes. Legislatures at other states have tried and dearly tried and exhausted every option to address property taxes with state subsidies, with valuation caps. Almost always the history of this shows that unintended negative consequences and disappointing results. And we don't even have to look to other states. We can look here in North Dakota. From 2007 to today, 17 pieces of legislation have passed, resulting in $7.25 billion of property tax relief. And yet property taxes continue to rise in some communities, not all.
Please hear that. 17 pieces of legislation, $7.25 billion. $7.25 billion have been spent to try and reduce property taxes from a state level, and it has not worked. Because it's still the number one complaint you hear across the state as you go out and talk to people. So I think he's crushing it right here. He's breaking down the numbers, letting you know what's happened. And then listen to this. I think this what comes up next year is a very, very important point.
Some communities, which reinforces the old refrain, which we should all remember. Because if we're reducing local property taxes by using other state taxes and sending them locally, we're actually subsidizing local spending. We're not reducing taxes, we're subsidizing local spending. And if you want more of something, you subsidize it. So when we subsidize local spending, we get more local spending.
Exactly. If you subsidize something, you get more of it. We all know that. I mean, we can go down a laundry list of situations where that is accurate. Now, he's spot on, and he brings this up in the property tax perspective. Then what's interesting, if we have time to get to it, he does talk about how they're going to increase education spending here in the state, which is obviously local spending. So he's going to subsidize education, and one of the big issues I have with that is the fact that what's the ROI in education right now? In our state, it's horrendous. I know we've got the workforce problem, but boy, the results happening across the state, at least from a testing metric, which is the metric that most people look at, is not good. Let's continue with Governor Burgum on property taxes and local spending.
By continuing to subsidize property taxes, we're growing local government. The numbers and the facts show this. Nearly 6 years ago, in my first State of the State address, I stood right here at this podium, and part of that address, I warned that property tax buydowns, at that time, the 12% buydown, were nothing more than a subsidy that entices communities to make a long-term investments that they may be ill-equipped to afford. I suggested that the legislature find an off-ramp to remove itself from the business of the unsuccessful 12% property buydowns. And the legislature did, and that was a smart move. So are we for reducing the costs that drive up property taxes? all the decisions and design decisions at the local level? Absolutely. Let's dig into the real drivers that raise property tax. We're in favor of understanding and lowering the cost of local government. But are we first subsidizing more local spending by taking dollars from one set of taxpayers and sending them to property owners? We're absolutely not in favor of that. Let's address the real root cause.
So he says we're absolutely not in favor of that. Again, I hope we have time here. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow, but then listen to what he says here about education.
In the meantime, it's entirely appropriate for those of you, because I know that during campaign season, many of you told me that you heard from our citizens that they were more concerned about property taxes than income taxes. That may be true based on what city you lived in and what doors you were knocking on. But I would encourage all of those constituents to engage. If they're big property owners, engage with their school boards, engage with their city commissions, engage with the county commissions, their park boards, and learn more about how local property taxes in their area are set and managed, because it varies all over our state.
So he's just mentioned to you, look, if you really want to lower your property taxes, get involved locally. He just mentioned school boards, right? But he also said, hey, if you're going to subsidize something, you're going to get more of it.
Promoting quality education. Well, the share of locally leveled property taxes to go toward public schools, it's the state that covers the majority of that cost of public education. This is another way that we're also supporting and helping reduce local property taxes. K-12 accounts for the single largest component of our budget. Nearly $2.3 billion of our general and special funds will go towards K-12. That is real relief on property taxes, $2.3 billion again this session in helping to pay for that local school component. In this budget, we also recommend an increase in the per pupil rate. We know that schools have been hit with inflation and labor cost changes as well. And so in our proposal, it's 4% for the first year and 3% for the second year. This doesn't mean that that's what the raises are for instructors. This means that that's what the increase would be to go to the school district. This will bring the formula payments to record levels, nearly $11,000 per student. North Dakota invests $7 million in taxpayer dollars per day to educate our students.
North Dakota spends $7 million a day to educate its students. $7 million a day. Do you want to hear how we're doing? 2022, reading in 8th grade. Guess the percentage of students in 8th grade across the state of North Dakota that are proficient in reading. Not in Espanol, but in English. What's the percentage of students that are proficient in reading in the great state of North Dakota as we spend $7 million a day? What would you guess? 50%? Still a failing grade. 75%? Okay, a little bit better, still a C. No, we're at 25%. We're dropping $7 million a day, and we've got 25% of our students that are proficient in reading English. When it comes to math in 8th grade, 23% of our students. We're dropping $7 million a day in education, and 23% of our students are proficient in math. Governor Doug Burgum, very good when it comes to ROI on cash flow. He gets it. He understands it. He broke it down today. 23% of our students spending $7 million a day in 8th grade that are proficient in math. Not a good ROI. All right, when we come back, one of the biggest challenges facing the state and really many states today is workforce. How does Governor Burgum's budget try, do something to solve that problem? We got a special guest that'll tell us coming up right after this.
Been looking for a golf cart for the lake, cabin, or the course? Largest selection of Club Car Onward golf carts within 150 miles is available at All Season Motorsports. 0% financing. That's 0% financing for up to 36 months on 2022 and 23 Club Car golf carts. All inventory must go. Largest selection of club cars at 0% financing. All Season Motorsports off I-94 and Cheyenne Street, West Fargo. Hurry before they're gone.
Percent of your body is water. Does it make any sense to put bad water back into your system for your health? Hi, it's Scott Hennon here from my friends at Lindsay Echo Water. We have a full water treatment system in our home, a reverse osmosis system with mineral add back and a pH boost. It's fantastic. Some people are more worried about what gas they put in their cars rather than the water they drink. Make that a thing of the past for you. LindsayEcoWater.com. LindsayEcoWater.com or call 218-233-8655.
If you've had COVID-19 or some strain of it, you've most likely experienced cognitive dysfunction, otherwise known as brain fog. Hi, I'm Dr. Oliver Siriset, and I'm here to tell you that it is real. Brain fog isn't a medical or scientific term. It's a term used by individuals to describe how they feel after COVID. Sluggish, fuzzy, downright exhausted. For some, the brain fog lasts up to 8 months. Siriset has helped others, and we can help you. Siriset. Relax, rebalance, reset.
Do you have money in the bank or the stock market? Do you check the balance often? Why wouldn't you do the same for your biggest asset, your home? If you want to know right now what you could sell your home for in this hot market, go to FargoHomeValues.com. Type in any address and find out instantly. You might be surprised how much you could get for your home. Again, that website is FargoHomeValues.com, or call me, John Nosala, for a personal valuation. Find out more at JKPropertyPartners.com.
From field to fuel, a story from the North Dakota Ethanol Council. Did you know North Dakota's ethanol industry is a leader in carbon capture? Ethanol is pioneering carbon capture. While the world talks about it, ethanol is doing it. Here, now, reducing the carbon footprint. North Dakota's corn producers are increasingly efficient stewards of the land, producing more on the same land with less inputs. In fact, yields have increased 25 to 42% in the last 20 years using similar levels of inputs. Corn ethanol is our nation's best way to decarbonize transportation today. And corn ethanol has a significantly smaller carbon footprint than gasoline. And it's getting smaller. Find out more at ndethanol.org. ndethanol.org. A message from the North Dakota Ethanol Council.
North Dakota is a special place.
Oil and gas supports more than 60,000 jobs in the state of North Dakota.
And the industry is vital to our economy, adding nearly $4 billion in state and local tax revenues.
Why would we buy oil from dictators when we have it right here? We produce it the cleanest, the greenest of anywhere in the world.
Keep creating great jobs, and right here in North Dakota.
We support North Dakota oil and gas.
Paid for by American Experiments, North Dakota. AmericanExperimentND.org.
Don't have a blue Christmas this year? Gather up the family, hop in the car, and go see the holiday lights at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds. A drive-through light show that everyone will enjoy, and this year's show is bigger and better than ever. Buy your tickets online and save. The holiday lights will run through the holiday season until New Year's Eve. Make this a holly jolly Christmas with a visit to the holiday lights at the Red River Valley Fairgrounds and start a magical holiday tradition. Brought to you by Christmas Decor and Cass County Electric.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. This is your daily dose of truth to help set you free. If you want to email into the show, very easy to do. It's studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, studio@chrisbergshow.com. Want to say thank you so much to Red Wing Shoes for sponsoring our studio email inbox. Red Wing Shoes doing incredible work for all our amazing blue-collar workers out there. There's so many employers today you go and visit with, and you're like, they are just starving for some new bodies. So also you may work at a company that you can get some discounts over at Red Wing Shoes. And what's beautiful there is, when you're out working hard in a blue-collar gig, your feet can start screaming at you. I mean, you're on your feet all day. They hurt. But that's where Red Wing Shoes can solve your problems. Go and see Teresa. She's going to sit down with you, customize your work boot. It's going to be protective, but it's customized to your foot, so it's super, super comfortable. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're going to be at work the next day, and they're going to be like, oh, thank you for these custom work boots. Go to 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Again, that's 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Say hi to Teresa over there at Red Wing Shoes, and she will take care of you. Speaking about workforce issues, joining us right now, he is the fantastic Commerce Commissioner for the great state of North Dakota, Josh Teagan. Josh, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Chris.
It's always great to have you. I know the governor put some money into the his budget address at least. Who knows if he'll get it all, but it's in there, at least from an executive standpoint. Let's just start with the problem. And I want to start here. I was at the chamber event earlier this week on Tuesday, and they said in North Dakota, for every 100 job openings, there's 25,000 job openings, I believe, and correct me if I get this wrong, but they said for every 100 job openings, there's only 47 people available to fill those 100 per 100 jobs. I mean, how do we solve this?
Yeah, so the actual number of job openings we project to be around 35,000 jobs. And the reason we don't have a hard number of this is exactly how many is because Sanford, for example, if they're trying to hire 100 nurses, they're not posting 100 jobs. They'll post 5 and just leave them open. So we project about 35,000 open jobs. And just for context, there's 1,875 people on unemployment in the state right now. So if we took every high school graduate, every college graduate, every person on unemployment now, and every person coming out of the correction system for this year, and every single one of those people took a job, that would be about 22,000 people. And we think we have 35,000 plus jobs available in the state. So there's just simply not enough people, and there's not one direct answer on how we solve it. It's a all the above approach. And I think, the amazing leadership of the governor that we have and his budget address today really showcased all the above approach for how we tackle this issue.
So take us inside the room. I'm assuming that he sat down with you. You guys have got a great relationship, and you started working out some numbers, and they came up with $170 million to potentially help the Commerce Department, recruit more people into the state. I want to get into the backroom conversations. What I want to start with, though, because you know where my heart is, where my mind is, Josh. Hablas español, por favor. Why is there any conversation behind closed doors of you guys saying, hey, look, the Latino community matches our values here. You look at Watford City right now, a lot of business owners there are Hispanic, Latino. Is there a conversation between you and the governor to build a superhighway between Mexico, Latin America, and North Dakota?
Yeah, we know that as part of this all the above approach, in-migration of people coming to the state is absolutely necessary. There's just not enough people here now. We've got to bring people in from outside, and you hit it on the head. The Hispanic and Latino population, they're some of the hardest working people on planet Earth, culturally, mesh well. The challenge we run into is we're a state with vast needs, and we're bumping into really poor federal policy. So the ability that we have as a state to say, hey, we're going to, create this channel for workers to come from Mexico or wherever, they've run into federal immigration barriers to do that. So we're obviously working with our delegation in D.C. to, try to bring immigration reform as part of a broader policy. And then the other thing that we battle is just climate. Those people that are going to come, there's jobs in Texas and Oklahoma and Arizona. So again, there's not a silver bullet. I wish, there was this, in migration from Mexico, and we had the, necessary channels to do it, and people were queued up, ready to come. It's a piece of the puzzle. It's one of many strategies, and it's absolutely on our radar. They're phenomenal people. They're great, hard workers. They fit in culturally with our state's values, and we're doing everything we can to make it as easy as possible for them to come and take jobs here.
I mean, I can't even tell you how much, man. It just pains my heart to know that you've got 2 million people, predominantly from Central America, Latin America, crossing our borders, and you're telling me, hey, Chris, we just can't get them here, even though they can walk up to the CBP and say, hey, take me to New York, take me to, Massachusetts, but they're not saying, take me to North Dakota. And I know that's a whole nother conversation. So take us into the room. You're sitting down with the governor. He's, I'm sure, asking you, hey, Josh, here's my thoughts on the workforce. You're giving your point of view. And he says, okay, here's $170 million. How do you deploy it to solve this problem?
Yeah, so when it comes to, commerce as a whole, our job is to increase the overall wealth of the state. we do that in a couple of ways. One is attract capital. The other is attract talent. And by doing so, we have to have, great tourist, destinations for people to visit, because we know that if people visit the state, they're more likely to move here. I think that's true of anywhere. I'd be hard pressed to find a lot of people that picked up and moved to somewhere that they've never been. So the tip of the spear is really tourism. We've got to bring people to the state. Once they visit, they see how great it is. Then we have to make really great, smart, healthy, vibrant communities, because people in this global digital economy, they get to choose where they live first and then what they do second. I mean, they can work from anywhere. So as you look at, commerce and all of the dollars appropriated to us in the executive budget, it's how do we get on people's radar from a marketing standpoint? How do we get them to visit as a tourist? How do we create really smart, healthy, vibrant communities for them to live in once they get here? And then how do we create the economic opportunity where economic development is quality of life and quality of life is economic development? So those are what we do every day as Commerce. And we have just such tremendous leadership in our governor. And he said, I think this is a plan that will work. It's time to be big and bold. And, I just really appreciate the leadership from the governor's office and saying, here's how we think we solve our biggest challenges, which are also our biggest opportunities. And we're going to put it in the hands of the Department of Commerce to make that happen. So I feel pretty honored in that respect to lead the agency and also to work for such a forward-thinking leader.
So two things, and the first one we'll get to in a minute is like I said, what I better understand. I understand the tourism piece, but so you've got $170 million according to his budget at your disposal. I guess my question to you is, so how do you deploy it then to start to recruit more tourism and or people to stay here? And one idea, because I'm a marketer and a creative guy, is that do you remember when we were in Miami and just how horrible the cell service was and the internet? Like, I think you and I should go back to Miami and cut a commercial and just like, here I am in, Coral Gables. I can't get a phone call. Here I am in Antler, North Dakota, and look at my service. Like, I think for all the nomadic workers and distance workers, because most people think North Dakota and you just sort of think, right? But when people really appreciate the broadband we have here and what's going on, I think there's a really powerful communication strategy there. Am I missing something?
No, and that's something that very few people know is North Dakota has better and more robust fiber infrastructure than any other state in the nation,
yes,
bar none, hands down, by like orders of magnitude. So if there is a place to, run a tech-enabled business, to work remotely, like there truly is no better place on the planet to do that than North Dakota. And almost nobody realizes that, the perception of, horse and buggy still,
yes,
and in reality, we're the opposite. We have better fiber infrastructure than the state of California or New York does. Largely thanks to the leadership of, our North Dakota IT department. But I mean, that's a huge asset for us to sell. So when you come back to the budget, it's multifaceted. $50 million for, tourism attraction. That's going to be matched 1-to-1 with the private sector. That's $100 million of new destination.
So, Josh, hold that thought, because we want to keep you into the next segment, but I think we should take the $100 million, put a big hole in the middle of the state and create a man-made lake, and everyone can go there, and we'll create you and I will do some real estate development. All right, stay with us. Josh Teagan, Commerce Commissioner. Let's see, we're making commercials in Miami. We're doing real estate development on a new lake, and much more coming up after this.
Us at Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry want to help you focus on the present with sparkling diamond stud earrings, mouth-watering precision-cut color gemstones, and jaw-dropping diamond pendants, engagement rings to even make Santa blush. Making memories to last a lifetime, one piece of jewelry at a time. Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry, 3241 42nd Street South, Fargo. Online at schmidtsjewelry.com.
Are you all pumpkined out? Moxie Java has 12 unique Christmas drinks to celebrate the holiday season.
How about some roasted reindeer mocha with caramel sauce, butter pecan, and hazelnut? A gingerbread latte or seasonal favorite, Noggin the Nog, an eggnog latte with butter rum. Yum!
If you have a Christmas drink craving, Moxie Java has you covered. They have warm, cozy indoor seating, a fireplace, and free Wi-Fi.
And if you're on the go, try the drive-thru next to Bell Bank at the corner of 32nd and Cheyenne at the Lights in West Fargo. Moxie Java, online at moxiejava.com.
It's the first unlimited full-service and exterior works wash club at Don's Car Washes. You can have the best of both worlds with unlimited interior and exterior washes at the Don's on 13th Avenue and unlimited exterior washes at the Don's on 52nd Avenue. Truly unlimited washes for only $49.99 per month. Join Don's Unlimited Wash Club. Exterior unlimited washes starting as low as $19.99 per month. It's never been easier to put a smile on your car at Don's Car Washes.
Hey, you missed the turn. We just passed Brockmeyer Tile and Stone. It's back there.
Where are we going? Brockmeyer Tile and Stone, you know.
They specialize in custom granite and quartz fabrication and installation.
And laser measuring, so we don't have to worry about a thing. I hear their projects are always amazing.
Brockmeyer Tile and Stone, just south of Costco on Veterans Boulevard.
Granite and quartz, it's what we do, baby.
At Gateway Building Systems, they understand that the success of your farm is dependent on storage and speed to move grain. As the #1 Brock bin dealer in the U.S., they will provide you with grain bins and dryers, millwright services, towers, conveyors, and dump pits. Our team will make sure that you have the best storage solutions to keep your farm moving at full speed. Call today. They have Brock solid bins in stock. Don't wait, they'll go fast. Go online to gatewaybuilding.com or call 1-800-747-4499.
Hey Flag listeners, this is Spencer Brandt from Media Shack LLC. Do you want to have fun at the workplace? Media Shack's the place for you. Join our hardworking team of 14 people. We're currently hiring sales, embroidery, screen printing, production, and shipping and receiving positions. To get started, go to MediaShackFargo.com/careers. That's MediaShackFargo.com/careers. Or call 701-612-9363 and ask for Jenna. That's 701-612-9363.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. We're talking about Governor Burgum today, giving his executive budget address around 10 o'clock this morning. One piece of the budget as well is the mental health. He wants to fund more mental health because, as we all know, you just look at what's happening across not just our state, but our nation, the mental health challenges that are taking place from tweens to adults, and many people now dealing with anxiety, depression, not sleeping right, just not feeling like themselves. And so one opportunity to help solve that for you, if you're dealing with any anxiety, depression, whatever it might be, you just don't feel like you, call Siriset. Siriset's doing some really great things. You go there, you basically do an assessment. It's like an hour nap. So that in and of itself is great. But they're doing some really powerful things with their clients. The number to call there for a free just conversation to find out if it's the right fit for you, 701-566-5231. Again, 701-566-5231. That's Siriset of Fargo. Speaking about the budget, Josh Teagan, Commerce Commissioner here in the great state of North Dakota, sticking around. And Josh, we left off with, we've already got a couple of projects on our list already. So commercial in Miami, real estate development in the middle of the state. But you mentioned $50 million for tourism and then the private match. So that's 50 of the 170. What are you doing with the other 120?
So there's a variety of different programs. We know childcare is a big issue, so not all of these things are only, Department of Commerce, but they're Department of Health and Human Services, Job Service, Commerce, a variety of different things. So we have a variety of programs now in the executive budget, $25 million for workforce talent attraction and recruiting, $20 million regional workforce impact program. This is for the local communities to say, hey, we have a really great idea for how we're going to attract workforce to our community. We have a program now to fund that, all the way down to automation grants and training and workforce development programs. It's really a full suite of things. And then dovetailing into financial and capital development with $30 million for the North Dakota Development Fund, $20 million for our LIFT program for IP commercialization, wide variety of things that all come down to how do we attract talent, how do we attract capital, how do we make North Dakota the best place on earth to live, work, play, and I really think we have an opportunity to do that.
One last question we got here from somebody who's watching the live stream, if I can get to this real quick, but they basically were saying, hey, look, is it always the right thing to bring more people into the state? He's suggesting, and I think you and I maybe talked about this in the past, but, Fargo is just not your grandpa's Fargo anymore. I mean, you turn on the news now and there's a lot of firearm situations, we'll say, taking place. And, so just your reaction to someone saying, hey, maybe we can do this, but not have to bring a bunch of people into our state.
Yeah, I mean, growth comes with challenges. I think and also, the state is bigger than just Fargo as well. Fargo has grown immensely, but there's a huge workforce need for oil and gas workers in the western part of the state. And, in the eastern part of the state, sometimes we forget that the benefits that we have to fund infrastructure projects, to fund, public works and services, a lot of that comes from oil and gas revenue. And if we had more people, we'd have more rigs operating, which means more oil coming out of the ground, which means there's more ability to fund things like education, infrastructure, mental health, all kinds of things. So when economic opportunity is in front of us, we know that economic opportunity is cyclical in nature, but the lack of workforce is not allowing us to capture all that economic benefit. We want to go out and try to solve for that while the opportunity is here, because that's what kind of keeps the snowball rolling towards success to fund things in the future when maybe there's not as much economic opportunity as there is today. The more we can do now, the more we set ourselves up to be insulated for downturns in the future.
Yeah, and I know one of the metrics that you guys are looking at as administration is GDP per capita, and you need some more bodies to increase productivity. We really want to bring you on and talk about this, and I apologize. We're going to have about a minute and a half or so, Josh. We can always have you back, but there's a new angel match program as well, offering more than $13 million. What's happening there?
Yeah, so we pride ourselves, North Dakota, on having great policy, being business-friendly, tax-friendly, but we also want to be the number one destination for capital formation and development, because that helps our entrepreneurs, that helps our risk takers. I believe, government should never be in the driver's seat on that. We should be de-risking private sector investment. So we have $13.6 million for an angel investment match, which means if you're a company raising money and you convince an angel investor to invest, the state of North Dakota will match that investment up to $250,000 to de-risk that both for the company as well as for the investor. So we're bringing the brightest ideas, the brightest talent here to the state. That's a new program through the Department of Commerce. We're really excited to roll it out and see all the great companies that we can grow from that capital.
So just for clarity, I go out, get an angel investor. You're saying, hey, the state will also throw in another 250 Gs if I can go raise my initial seed?
Yeah, we'll match 1-to-1 up to $250,000, and there's certain other requirements. It has to be less than a $2 million, raise and things like that. So there are some strings attached, mainly because these are federal dollars that we're administering. So there's a little bit of red tape, but we're doing the best we can to make it as easy as possible and as beneficial as we can.
Josh, thank you so much for the insight. I look forward to seeing you in Miami, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Thanks, Chris. Always a pleasure.
Have a great day. Josh Teagan, North Dakota Commerce Commissioner, doing great work there. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Welcome